In India, almost every ceremonial occasion is inaugurated with the breaking of a coconut. This is a famous Hindu ritual. But India is not alone where you see plenty of coconuts. Indonesia and the Philippines are the top producers of coconuts. Indonesia produces 17.13 million metric tons of coconut every year. The Philippines produces 14.77 million metric tons, a bit more than the annual production of coconuts in India. These three countries produce 73% of the coconut. Globally, it is a $12.03 billion business, and by 2030, it will reach $19.38 billion. Yet, this is all about raw coconut. Coconut is widely utilized to produce various products, for example, cosmetics, medicines, etc. The husk of the coconut is a traditional raw material used to make ropes, nets, coarse fabrics, and coir. In this video, you will watch how millions of coconuts are produced and harvested. How are different products made from coconut, and what are some of the products made out of its husk that you might never have seen before? What are the challenges to the coconut industry? And how does this auspicious fruit change the lives of many? Let's find out. But before that, make sure to subscribe to this channel for such informative content. In recent years, coconut demand in the West has increased significantly. Imports of coconut in the US alone have spiked nearly 30% since 2018. Companies are selling it as a superfood and launching new coconut products to target the masses. But these countries in the tropics are already selling most of their coconut. To meet the rising demand, they have to grow more coconut trees. Coconut production is not easy as well. A coconut tree typically takes 3 to 6 years to start flowering. Furthermore, a coconut takes 9 months to develop and drop off the tree. Moreover, a mature coconut tree can produce 30 or more coconuts per year in ideal conditions. With correct planting, watering, and care, a coconut tree can reach full maturity and maximum yield in 15 years. There are mainly two types of coconut plants, dwarf and tall coconuts. A dwarf coconut, however, can be as tall as a tall coconut. The terms dwarf and tall refer to the size at which it will begin to produce the coveted or harvestable coconut. Preparing a new seed from both dwarf and tall coconuts is known as hybridization. Nowadays, many planters rely on this method to enhance the yield and speed up the growth of coconuts. It involves taking flowers from the male plant and transferring them to the female plant buttons when they are receptive. Interestingly, a coconut tree has both male flowers and female buttons on the same inflorescence. Male flowers are removed to prepare the tree for reproduction. This process is known as emasculation. The workers also engrave the date of emasculation on the tree for record. For the next 3 weeks, an expert will regularly check this plant. At this time, a little drop of nectar will appear on the female buttons. This indicates the female buttons are now mature enough to pollinate. Companies like DJ process the pollen from special tall trees and supply it to the farmers. To pollinate the ready female buttons, farmers gently apply pollen with a brush. After 120 days, they will check how many buttons are left. Typically, 20% of these are left on a coconut tree, out of which 90% of the yield grows into fresh coconuts. These newly grown coconuts are not for eating. Instead, the nurseryman will keep them in nurseries as seed nuts. The nurseryman shakes the coconut to find out whether it has the right amount of water or not. At the right stage, this seed nut goes for planting in the nursery beds. Germination often starts after a month, but it takes 6 months for a baby plant to grow up to 2.5 feet tall. Now, coconut plants are ready to be sold to customers. These hybrids from DJ Sampurna will start in only 4 years which will save 3 years of time compared to typical coconut plants. Here, fresh coconuts are ready to be harvested. Harvesting them requires meticulous scheduling to achieve ideal maturity. It maintains desirable taste and nutritional attributes. However, obtaining coconuts from a tall tree is a challenge in itself. These days, we have robots and machines to pluck fruits from trees. Still, coconut growers rely on conventional methods. One straightforward method to harvest coconut is climbing. It is an easy way, but it is also a risky job. These climbers climb over trees without any safety tools. Falling from a 100-foot tall tree would cause severe damage. Sometimes they tie husk rope to the tree trunk, and sometimes they make small cuts to climb over. Foot spikes are also used to climb over. Climbers make sure they pluck the ripened fruit from the tree. One of the easiest methods of harvesting coconut is the pole method. A long bamboo stick is used to make coconuts fall, but this requires expertise and precautions. A direct hit of the coconut on the head can be deadly. According to research conducted by the Australian Institute of Marine Science, around 150 people lose their lives each year due to coconuts falling. A hydraulic elevator is one of the better ways of harvesting coconuts. Like pole methods, workers use sticks with nails on their ends to collect coconuts. They poke each coconut and throw it in their back baskets. Apparently, this truck is ready to transport a coconut plant for further processing. Since most coconut trees grow in subtropical coastal regions, the water channels play an important role in the growth and transportation of coconuts. This water canal has been made specifically for watering coconuts. They use a special boat with pumps that throw pumps onto the coconut trees. Also, the ready coconuts are deliberately fallen into the water to prevent them from bumping. Likewise, large boats are used on water channels to transport the harvest in bulk. But these boats are away from the field. Therefore, trucks take the harvest to these boats. Workers also check the quality of the coconuts before loading the truck. Being the largest coconut producer, Indonesia transports millions of coconuts through these waterways. The coconuts that do not meet the standard will be used as fertilizer. Some factories have a special port facility to receive these coconuts directly from the laden boats. Sambu Group is one of them. The company has installed special equipment to unload the loaded boats. But this is not the case everywhere. This viral video from a port depicts a worrying situation in Bangladesh. Through a chain of running conveyor belts, the fruit goes into the facility. Then, a team of workers removes the outer part of the coconut, which contains hair-like fabric. This part is known as the husk of the coconut, and that's why the process of its removal is called dehusking. Older methods of removing husks are still employed in some countries. These methods are prevalent in traditional localities in Southeast Asia, Africa, and the Caribbean. They use machetes to remove the fibrous husk from coconuts. Because coconut production has exceeded 62 million metric tons per year globally, managing its husk has become an environmental concern. However, many products can be made from this inedible part of the coconut. Sambu Group is using it as a fuel for its power plant. Husk charcoal emits relatively little CO2, and it is the finest biofuel. Moreover, coconut husks can be used to make a variety of different products, such as husk ropes, mats, and peat. First, the husk is crushed and filtered to separate the fiber and the rest of the material. The fibrous material is known as coir, whereas the rest of the material that binds the fiber is called pith. These workers collect the coir into piles before sending it to the twine-making process. First, a carding machine processes the fiber. Then, various spinning wheels and tools twist the fiber to transform it into a thick yarn. More than one yarn is further twisted together to form a rope. The coconut rope is complete. However, it can be improved further. These workers are weaving the new coir rope to make a mat from it. They use a unique device known as a loom. It functions as a frame to hold the weft threads, making mat weaving easy. In the Philippines, where farmers burn most of the husk to get rid of it, a company discovered an interesting use for coconut coir. They use it as an insulation material for making picnic coolers. They call it the nutshell cooler. It can keep things cold for 48 hours. India has taken the use of coir to the next level. The National Rural Roads Development Agency of India used coir geotextiles in rural road construction. The coir fabric is laid above the subgrade after the compaction. With reinforcing and drainage characteristics, it acts as a physical separation layer between the aggregate and the subgrade soil. Moreover, this biodegradable material can last for 5 years, and it costs little compared to other road construction materials. This is why they consider it best to build roads around the village.
The use of the coir geotextile in the road construction, then it will have a lot of indirect benefits, not only for the road construction but other benefits also. Now, if you use the coir geotextile in road construction, it can be provided at anywhere in the structure of the pavement, but generally it is preferred to provide above the subgrade. And if it is provided above the subgrade, it will act as a reinforcing material. It will also act as a drainage material. So it will perform many functions in addition to these two, and thus enhance the life of the pavement.
Correctly placing the coir mat is not as easy as it looks. Workers have to take care of mat folding, especially on road turns. Once perfectly laid, the mat is clamped and all the laid rolls are mounted together. Next, workers and machines together place building material over the coir mat to prepare the sub-base of the road. Then, rollers give the road 100% compaction. Lastly, the pavement of the road begins, which will be completed in 2 stages. The first layer of gravel is placed and filled with a special earth material, and in the last stage, grade 3, gravel is laid and filled, and bitumen is used this time. Similar to coconut coir, the leftover husk chips are not discarded as waste. Instead, husk chips are reduced to powder size by chopping, grinding, and crushing. After that, they add sufficient water to make it a fluffy solution and leave it to dry for days. The dried material is called cocoa peat. After blending cocoa peat and husk chips in the required proportion, the resultant material is compressed to transform the mixed material into cocoa peat blocks. These peat blocks provide higher air porosity for plants and help them grow faster. Besides blocks, cocoa peat can be transformed into various shapes, such as rectangular bricks, round pallets, and long slabs. Cocoa peat grow slabs are quite popular among tomato, cucumber, pepper, herb, and cannabis growers. Multiple tests are conducted during the production of these slabs to ensure they possess the appropriate bulk density, porosity, water holding capacity, and expansion volume. The grow slabs come wrapped in a plastic or biodegradable film that protects them from moisture loss and fungal growth. These are shipped to the growers, who rehydrate them with water before use. The grow slabs are suitable for cultivating on tabletops in glass houses, hydroponic greenhouses, and polytunnel growing systems. Next to the husk of a coconut is the shell. It is relatively harder. The workers remove it by peeling it off. Removal of this part is known as deshelling. Any penetration could result in the loss of coconut water. This is why some companies prefer drilling coconut before deshelling and even dehusking. Surprisingly, there is also a way to make a profit from the coconut shell. Coconut shells have perfect characteristics for making charcoal from it. This is the special kiln in which charcoal is made. The coconut shells are dried before being loaded onto the kiln. Then they ignite the shells from the bottom. The next batch of shells is loaded onto the kiln after a large fire. After that, the kiln operator closes the door and seals it with a mixture of clay and ash. This process is repeated again and again until the kiln is fully filled. Following that, the worker seals the top feeder and covers it with clay and ash. The same is done for all air inlets to prevent fresh air from entering the kiln. In a tube at the back of the kiln, wood, vinegar and tar flow. For 24 hours, the kiln is left in this state and then opened to harvest coconut charcoal. This kiln can make 150 kilograms of charcoal, and it has a mere 30% yield compared to the total amount of coconut shells fed. Yet, the charcoal is not ready. It needs to be ground into a fine powder for further processing. The powdered charcoal is then mixed with a binding material. Generally, 100 grams of starch is enough to serve the purpose. Water is also added while mixing the material. Now that the mixture is ready, it is time to transform it into briquettes. Coconut water is an excellent source of hydration. It contains high levels of electrolytes, making it perfect for rehydrating athletes. Moreover, coconut water is rich in vitamins. It is known for blood pressure control, improving digestive health, and kidney stone prevention. Vitamins. For manufacturing factory products, they go into the processing unit. The coconut water is first filtered to remove any debris or impurities. Then, the filtered coconut water is pasteurized using thermal processing to inactivate enzymes and kill any microorganisms present. B-Trimex uses a combination of heat treatment and rapid cooling to preserve the natural flavor and nutrients of the coconut water. The packaged coconut water is stored under refrigeration to maintain its freshness and quality. Regular testing is necessary to monitor the microbiological, chemical, and sensory properties of the coconut water. After removing the husk, shell, and water, what we have now is the white coconut meat. Some people call it the kernel of a coconut. Navik Mills Company produces coconut milk from coconut meat. First of all, the coconut meat or kernel is washed with water to make sure that no part of the shell gets in with the meat. Next, the coconut meat is reduced to flakes using various machines. Lastly, it is mechanically pressed by soaking shredded coconut in boiling water and then straining off the solid pulp. We get coconut milk. The amount of fat and oil in the final product can be managed. It is done by controlling the amount of water introduced to the flakes during the extraction process. Some companies also add stabilizers to their products. If you don't know what stabilizers do, they prevent the liquid molecules from clumping together or separating. As a result, the heavy ingredient does not fall to the bottom, and you see a perfect milk-colored liquid. Coconut cream is similar to coconut milk, except it is created from squeezed coconut kernels and has more fat and a little quantity of water. Next, the extracted coconut milk and cream are pasteurized using heat treatment to extend their shelf life and ensure food safety. Here, the packaging of the pasteurized milk and cream is under process. Machines aseptically package the coconut products in sterile containers to prevent any contamination. The residual left after squeezing milk is not wasted, but it can be further processed to make coconut flour. The dried coconut pulp is ground into a fine powder. It is a gluten-free, high-fiber flour, and you can use it for baking brownies, layer cakes, and many other things. The coconut flour has a moderate coconut flavor. Desiccated coconut is also produced from coconut. It looks similar to flour, but is completely different. Unlike coconut flour, it is manufactured directly from dry grated coconut meat. The ground coconut is then sieved to remove any unwanted particles and achieve the desired particle size. This product is also used in baking or as a topping material for desserts. It contains 55% fat. Interestingly, coconuts have the highest oil content among all oil seeds. Moreover, drying it off will decrease moisture content, resulting in a 70% oil increase in the coconut meat. This is why coconut companies prefer mature coconuts for the production of oil. Coconut oil has a wide range of applications beyond cooking. At an industrial scale, companies use it in making skincare and hair care, as well as a natural alternative to typical household cleaning products. The dried coconut, in the form of flakes, is pressed to extract the oil, which then goes through a filtration process to eliminate any impurities. The extracted oil then goes through a settling process. It separates any remaining solids. If desired, the oil can be further refined to remove any remaining impurities and unwanted flavors. As we said before, coconut can be used in a million ways, but the Indonesian government is interested in producing biojet fuel from coconuts. According to Reuters, Indonesia conducted test flights using jet fuel partially from palm oil in 2019. In 2023, Indonesia flew its first commercial flight using palm oil blended jet fuel. It was a Boeing 737-800NG aircraft with more than 100 passengers, and it flew a total distance of 550 kilometers, or 342 miles. Coconut is also a member of the palm tree family. This new use of coconut oil will solve another problem for Indonesia and other coconut-producing countries. Around 20 to 30% is not considered appropriate for edible products, and it remains unused as waste. These unused coconuts can help Indonesia increase its biofuel production by 7%. Coconut farmers do not have any interest in it because they have their own problems to worry about. The foremost issue is climate change. Major coconut producers, including Sri Lanka, India, and other Southeast Asian countries, are already struggling with the devastating effects of global warming. High temperatures above 40 degrees centigrade can severely impact coconut production by reducing pollen germination and nut set. Over 60% of coconut is grown under rain-fed conditions. Climate change is changing precipitation patterns, resulting in both droughts and excessive rainfall. It has a considerable impact on yields. This severity will impact the lives of thousands of coconut farmers and workers associated with the coconut business. For most of them, it is not just a business but a lifeline for rural economies. Moreover, farmers earn very little as compared to the wealth they generate by growing coconuts. In Sri Lanka, coconut farmers earn only $5 or less a day, even less than the average salary in the country. To compensate for this, some companies provide extra benefits to their farmers and workers. For example, Navik Mills pays school fees for their workers' children, but this is clearly not enough. This 50 millimeters bug, known as the Oryctes rhinoceros or coconut rhinoceros beetle, is a major threat to coconut farmers worldwide.
It feeds in a coconut tree right at the crown, and that will be the area where the coconut leaves or fronds attach to the coconut tree. The rhino beetle will burrow in using its legs as well as its horn and feed on the coconut sap for approximately 2 to 3 days.
It attacks a palm at the base of its fronds. This attack severely damages the coconut trees and sometimes even becomes the reason for their demise.
Just looking at the head capsule, it's about 9.5 to 12 millimeters, the biggest.
There are chemical solutions available to kill this insect, but many farmers believe that their use also harms the tree. Perhaps this is why hand-picking beetles from the axils of palms is practiced in Indonesia. Using a pheromone trap is another solution to this problem. These boxes can control, track, and assess the frequency of virus infections. About 2,330 miles away in the east of Indonesia, there is an island known as Guam. There is a special kind of tree snake. It indirectly supports the coconut rhinoceros beetles. Experts believe that this snake is the reason for the low quantity of birds and rats on the island, and also for more rhinoceros. These beetles start their colonies on dead-standing coconut and other palm trees. In 2023, the government of another island nation, Marshall Islands, decided to curtail the spread of these beetles. But this is not all. Coconut trees are vulnerable to many other insects and diseases. Their growers confront unprecedented hurdles in meeting the growing demand for this fruit. You learned how many ways coconuts are used. It is nutrient-rich, environment-friendly, and one of the most beneficial fruits on Earth. We hope both the coconut and its growers will survive the rigorous challenges of the time. Hope you enjoyed this video. We would love to hear your thoughts, so leave a comment below. Like, share, and subscribe, and we will come up with another interesting topic. Take care.